everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria once again, and on today's episode I'm going to be talking about how I survived harsh academic environments. I'm going to be sharing my personal stories and how I was able to survive, and I hope that you're going to learn a thing or two from my story. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Welcome back. If you have not subscribed, do please click the subscribe button, like and share this video to your family and to your friends anywhere. So today's episode, it's going to be sharing about my personal story, and I want you to know that ahead of time that it may not be sequential because I'm trying to juggle back my memory, and I'm just going to be as unfiltered as it can be. So pardon me if you find me rambling here and there, but I trust that you're going to learn a thing or two from my experiences. So, like you all know, I studied at Agate State University, and during my undergraduate days, popularly it was known as UNAT then. During my undergraduate days, throughout my 4 years there, I mean, we didn't have electricity. Yeah, you heard me right. There was no electricity. So I used to buy packs of candles. We used to rely on rechargeable candles majorly, actually, rechargeable lamps. And the fellowship was a very, very good way to charge, there was we had, I think, 2 big constructed boxes where people could plug their phones. So whenever you're going to church or fellowship programs on campus, we're going in with our bags, chargers, and when you're plugging your chargers are given maybe like a ticket. Okay, it's not like a ticket. It's like you get it like a ticket for your number. Then there will be a paper tape put on top of your charger with the same number, so that when you want to get your phone, you present it and your phone will be given to you as well as a charger. And we also had places around school area, businesses, where you could charge for a fee. I can't remember, maybe it was 20 naira or 50 naira. I can't remember, to charge your phone. We had students having generators, so that alone in itself was a lot to deal with. Throughout my 4 years, I used candle majorly to study. We'll go to night class, and the terrain also, it was such that we didn't have enough classes. So whenever we have a lecture in a lecture theater, you could have maybe 3 to 4 departments in the same LT, in the same lecture theater. So the lecturer that comes first determines the students who would remain there, or the students who would have to leave. So it was always a struggle. It was always a survival of the fittest. I remember how we used to rush to get seats, because in my class then, with education students that do join us and the English major students, I think we were over 100. So we would all scramble, rush to get seats so that you're not going to stand throughout the whole period. And another thing that I experienced, that we all experienced, was that there was really no avenue to channel complaints. So you'd have issues surrounding maybe your academics, or maybe we used to have loads of missing scripts, results to be pasted, and you wouldn't find your score, and you would just be going from different lecturers to another lecturer, to the level coordinator, to different people, and nobody can give you an answer. That was a kind of academic environment in which I studied. Also, when there's a course called this General Studies, and usually sometimes they don't even come to teach us, because it's always a lot of everybody in the school has to do it. It's one of the core. It doesn't really add up to your main core courses, but for my school then, it was added up as part of a CGPA. Here we had schools that you just have to pass it, but then it's not calculated with it. But in my school, it was calculated with it, and GST or GNS, whatever it's called, it wasn't handled well. I remember I'll prepare and prepare, and I mean, sometimes when the results are pasted, there will be nothing allotted to the CAs, that is a continuous assessment, the two before the exam. We just have just one total at the end. Sometimes you can just see 30, 30, 30, 30, 40, 40, 40. I mean, it's just as if these figures are cooked up. So in my GSTs, I think those were the only courses where I carryovers, because nobody was managing it. Nobody was, I mean, everything was just modeled up. And you hear stories of how scores, people are paying for scores, people are paying to get good grades. I mean, that was the kind of academic environment in which I studied. And was it tough? Yes, I would say it was tough. It was tough carrying on. It was tough trying to keep being positive, investing in yourself, keep reading, keep studying, and the system is not making your efforts fruitful or worth it. After studying and trying to be better than you were, and maybe scores are being sold, people are buying over courses, and there's really nothing tangible to hold on to. I remember a case where I had a B in a course and the background story to having the B in that course in 200 level was as a result of prayers. We did the course I took a course from that lecturer in 100 level, and fair enough, I understood the course, and I felt it was like a walkover. And after we saw the result, I had an E. I was shocked and surprised because I actually knew everything about this course and I understood the questions. So what exactly could be the problem? So when I was to take a course again, I think in 200 level, I went into prayers because I didn't know what else to do, because I've done everything I thought I had done well. So, I prayed, and I remember, I think before we had I think maybe a day before the exam, I had a dream where I was shown my script and another person's script. I was shown I saw my score, I saw the other person's score, and I saw what the person did that I did not do. So apparently, it wasn't that I did not understand the question, even in that dream. There was a way and manner the lecturer wanted us to answer the question. And as, fresh students who were new into the system, we had to study lecturers. I didn't know how the lecturer wanted our own pattern to be and all of that. So it wasn't that I did not know it, but I did not give her what she wanted. She did not like my style, because sometimes you find lecturers who they don't want you to go outside what they've taught you. They want you to give them exactly what they want, and there are some that they want you to explore. They want you to be inquisitive. They want you to research more. So that was the situation here. And once I understood that, so when we wrote the exams the second day, everything I just saw in that dream, that was the way I just that was the method I used to answer the questions. And funny enough, I was among, I think, the first set of people to answer. I saw people writing and writing and writing. I mean, that was almost pressure. Do you know what exactly you're doing? And when the results were pasted, 3 people, the highest score was a B. Yeah, I forgot to mention to that. In my department then, to get an A, it's rare. The highest grades usually starts from a B. So 3 people had a B in that course out of over 100 students, and I was among those who had that B. I was so excited. I was grateful to God for giving me insight into how to handle that situation. So by the time and normally we usually do not see our results immediately. Sometimes it's maybe a year or 2 years after before you really get the summary to know your CGPA for the entire year, even though the result will be pasted. So I think in 300 level or thereabout, our level coordinator said we should call the meeting and said we can come and check our results. And when I went there, I discovered that result where I had a B that I just told you about, there was no grade recorded. I mean, I was told it was missing or something. I told him I did this course. He told me that he doesn't It doesn't have anything to do with it or something. You are my level coordinator. You are the one to help me. He told me he couldn't help me. He doesn't know anything about it. I went to meet the lecturer in charge. The lecturer in charge also said, why am I coming to meet her? She doesn't know anything about it. I was going from my level coordinator to the woman in charge, and I was being taught to and fro. There was nobody to talk to. Eventually, thankfully, the HOD at that time was a very nice and caring man. I think he was one of the few good lecturers we had. I went to meet him, and being the HOD, I think some copies were submitted. Eventually, I sorted this thing, maybe 300, the end of 300 level, 400 level, before I was able to sort it. Thankfully, I was given the opportunity to make a photocopy of the copy the HOD had. That was what I now went back to present to my level coordinator before this was effected. And before it was effected, I kept monitoring and monitoring and monitoring. So this is a place where you're just left to yourself, you're left on your own, nobody really cares. And lecturers were like gods. I mean, I couldn't walk beside my lecturers and have conversations with them. Like, they were like mini gods. I wasn't free with them. It was like a master-servant relationship. You couldn't, interact. That was the system. And frustrating enough, oftentimes efforts were not, you don't get rewards for your effort. But how was I able to push through in spite of that harsh environment? And now I know that this story may not be for everybody, because not everybody can relate to what I'm about to share. But then you might be having other challenges with that, which is not this, and you could still learn a thing or two from whatever I share or the way I handled my own peculiar situation. Also, if you have the opportunity of studying in advanced countries outside Nigeria, you may not be able to relate with this because there are systems in place, and if you feel that an environment is toxic, you could just, you could take a gap year, you could report the case, you could get justice. But we are I was in an environment where you're on your own. You paid through the nose for your tuition. You don't get freebies from anybody, not even from government, the scholarship, nothing. I mean, you strive your way through. Your parents struggle to give you that education. I mean, you have to like stick your neck in it and try to work it out. Yeah. So how was I able to survive? How was I able to thrive? And how was I able to grow in the midst of that? So the first thing I want you to know is that you need to have the right kind of friends. Yes, you need to have the right kinds of friends, support systems. Yeah, because they are very, very important. I know that one of the things that helped me was that I was still in an environment with people. I had a friend who was always studying, though not in my department, but I was in a company of people who took the academics seriously. And in spite of the setbacks, in spite of the discouragements, in spite of the low grades, which were not totally my making, I still kept, striving. And there were days I was down, there were low days, there were low moments. I remember I think the first carryover I had, I called my dad. I was just crying over the phone, and he encouraged me, and it was like, this is part of your story. You don't have to cry. This just means that you're going to have a bigger story, a bigger testimony. If there are no challenges, there will be no testimonies. And he encouraged me a lot, and I was able to, continue and forge ahead. But one thing that helped me the most was that I saw the whole process as investing in myself. So even though the system seemed like it was doomed for us to fail, I kept seeing the whole process as a means of investing into myself. So what kept me going was like, I loved myself enough to make sure that I learn. What happened was that most of my mates gave up. They stopped going for lectures. They stopped trying. They just felt, what's the use of trying? Even if I read, this is what I'm going to get. If I don't read, this is what I'm going to get. Forgetting that whatever you know is for you. The knowledge you know is for you. The knowledge you have gained is for you. So one thing I tried to do was that I put in the effort. I put in my best. I tried as much as possible to keep reading, to keep studying, to keep improving, to keep saying, oh, could there be areas where I've made mistakes? I still took responsibility for the problems. I still took responsibility for the problems and tried to see, oh, how better can I improve? How better can I improve? What did I do? What can I do better to get better grades? I kept improving every semester. I kept improving every semester. I kept improving because I knew that it was about me. The system may not be good. The system may not be favorable, but I can choose to make good use of it because at the end of the day, it's my life. If I choose not to care, at the end of it, I wouldn't know anything. And it's to my own disadvantage. So what kept me going was, no, I have to really let this education, get value for it for myself. Not because of what the school is doing, but because I want to know, I want to learn. And that was what helped me to scale throughout. Fine. As usual, in my department then, having a 2-1 was usually rare. Most of the time, it's usually a 2-2, that many people have. I think maybe 3 people had it. But then, not all of them, not everybody you can vouch for how they got it. So, that's just the truth. But then, I got out with my 2-2, but I knew that I worked for it. I knew that I did not cheat my way through it. And I tried as much as possible to acquire what I could. So that I would be, because I know that the skill I have, it's in me. The knowledge I have, it's in me. And I will be in places in the future where I would have to prove my worth. And the system is not going to be the one that will be the excuse. So it was more about me. It was more about love for myself, love for knowledge, love to be better for myself. So I think that was one of the things I would say motivated me and kept me going. And I would say that I'm the better for it. So because going through my life and how I've been able to go to enroll in a master's program in UI and having a PhD grade, it's further, it's boosted my confidence because I remembered when I was leaving the school, I was like, I can't wait to be in an environment where it's going to be better, an environment where my efforts are going to, my efforts are going to count. I was looking forward to it and I'm so glad. It gave me a good gate in my steps. I can do this. Yes, I'm not dumb. Yes, I'm intelligent. Yes, if I set my heart to do it, I can do it. So, I don't know what situations you're in, but I want you to know that you can survive. I do not want you to give up. I want you to keep the right company. Keep pushing. Keep trying to be better. Because at the end of the day, it's about you. It's not about the system. And whatever you have in you, whatever you have in you can never be taken away from you. And one day, all the investments, everything you've infused into yourself, everything that you acquire diligently, they're going to pay off because, like an adage says, chance favors prepared minds. Do not let the circumstances in which you are in allow you not to prepare, because the day is coming where you're going to have opportunity, and if you're not prepared, that is how the opportunity will slip by your hands. So don't use the excuse of the environment. Do not use the excuse of your situation. Just try. I know it might be hard. It might be hard. It might be toxic. It might be hard. And I'm not encouraging you to stay in a toxic environment, but if you're in my situation, you pay through your nose. Your parents pay through their noses rather. And you know that there is no support anywhere, and this is the only ticket you have to greatness. You're going to just try and wiggle through and wiggle through and wiggle through and wiggle through, and just know that it's all about you. Whatever you know, it's for you, and nobody can take away the knowledge you have. And one day it's going to count. I don't know if you've learned a thing or two from this, and I'm still going to share a lot more stories about how you're going to survive in subsequent videos. Thank you so much for watching. You can please drop your comment. I like to know share your comments. Have you experienced such academic environments? How have you been able to survive? How did you survive? How did you go through? Where are you now? Did it pay off? I look forward to your engaging comments in the comments section. Thank you. Bye bye and have a good day.